This is the Said No One Ever podcast.
A podcast about things you never knew you wanted to hear about.
I'm Ian Bennett.
And I'm Martin Moore.
Let's get into it. Hey, boy.
Are we recording?
I mean, we're going right now, man. We always do. This is episode 20,008.
What?
No,
This is episode 14.
Yeah, 14, man.
Episode 14, who are we?
Episode 14. Who are we as people? Who are our people, period, man? Who is Martin and Ian Bennett?
So you've been on podcasts before, right?
I've been on some
lot of
podcasts, like interviews, that good stuff.
Do you ever feel like the more interviews you do and the more podcasts you do and the more times people ask you these kind of superficial questions that you just have this rehearsed script about who Ian Bennett is and what you do, and do you ever feel like you just really don't get a chance to dive into to let people know who you are?
Yeah, 100%.
Or no?
Yeah, no, you're 100%.
or am I just projecting?
No, you're spot on because you always have to have something rehearsed. I mean, especially if you're an athlete. I mean, what are you going to say? You can't obviously give the opponent anything to you can't give them any material for you to say. You can't say, oh, you know what, that team sucks, right? Because then the next week they're going to play harder on you and all this stuff, and then even if you beat them, then what are they going to say?
Sure.
So it's like you have to be politically correct. You got to be all nice and stuff. That's what the world wants it to be, right? If you're controversial, then they're like, oh, you're the bad guy. But if you honestly give your honest opinion, sometimes it could rub people the wrong way, which for me it sucks because if I'm playing your team and you guys suck, why can't I say that
right
in a good way? Because we're better. Why does it have to be, oh no, they have some really good players and they'll be all right, and you
every
end up
team's
beating.
a hard
why
can't you just be like, nah, we're better, you guys
that's what I'm
suck.
saying, man. It drives me insane with that stuff. But I mean,
what about outside the game, just your personal life, your brand and all that? Do you feel like people have a good idea of who you are, or is there or are you still looking for that opportunity where you can just kind of get into it?
No, I'd be
you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, no, I don't like lazy people. I can't stand them. But no, it's it is what it is. Because at the end of the day, I do generally love everybody. I love even the lazy people. If you just want to be lazy, do you? You know what I mean?
Goals.
It gets me on my nerves maybe, but I'm not gonna get mad at you for I'm not gonna be I hate lazy people and I'm over it. No, if that's what you want to do, do you, and I'll keep it pushing. I might help you try to be unlazy, but no.
See, that's been my biggest problem with podcasts is most people are interested in my story, which
Yeah.
But I still feel like I have this rehearsed script that I've tweaked and I've gotten better and better at telling the story to the point where I just zone out, man, when I'm on a podcast for the most part.
That is true. No, and that's what I like about you, because sometimes you always tell me, you're like, Ian, we got to do this, maybe say less of that. And I'm like, you know what? I agree with you because you've been on radio, you got vlogs, you're like the professional at it. But I feel like if I start doing that, then I'm taken away from me. You know what I mean? If
you're building, it's still you're building yourself. Well, so this is what I want to get
Baby
into
steps,
with this episode. This episode's called "Who Are We?" And I really want this to kind of be the episode where Ian Bennett gets to be himself.
Whoa.
And I got some questions that you don't know what they are.
Yes,
and I know you have some for me,
dude. I got
and give the audience a chance to get to know Martin Moore, Ian Bennett on a more personal level, on a more philosophical level. Rather than just the scripted shit that we feed everybody.
Yeah.
So I want to get into what motivates us, what frustrates us.
Yes.
What's something people don't know about us, and then get into a couple other really crazy things.
You know what? I saw that question. What motivates us? And I think let's
start with that.
Yeah, that's a big question.
What motivates Ian Bennett?
And I'm like, you know what? I was like, man, when you put that in the
our notes
app, I was like, you know what? That's a really good question. I was like, that's spot on. I'm like, what motivates me? I'm like, so I'm thinking about it. It's I think it's my family, but not even that, because again, if your family motivates you, they're going to be happy unless whatever you're doing, right? Your family's going to get your back, even if you fail, even if you're doing whatever you're passionate about, even if it makes no money, if that makes you happy, your family's going to be on your side, right? So the motivation is there for the family, but it's not the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, your family's always going to be there for you, right? Hopefully. But
yeah, right.
Right. Hopefully. But no, honestly, what motivates me is honestly it's myself. It's to give back to others. It's to be that kind guy, to be that hardworking guy. So that way everyone is kind of like, oh man, this guy doesn't just say what he does. He kind of walks the walk and talks the talk. So like for me, that's what it's all about. Because my family's gonna be happy regardless. If I get up every day and I'm putting work in, my family's cool with it, right?
Yeah.
But like it's the other people. It's like the general public. How do they see you? You know,
Sure.
That's what motivates me, right? And it's not even motivate if they think I'm doing bad or if they got the critics. It's not about that. It's about trying to turn those naysayers to be like, oh man, you know what? I can't say anything bad about this guy, or I can say a lot of bad things about this guy, but the guy puts the work in,
and you get the respect,
and that's what
Sure.
it is. You know, what about you?
Honestly, the thing that always motivated, there was like two things that motivated me. One was to, get to a point where I was doing what I loved for a living, so that I could then help other people take that path and get to their dream and their little world where they get to do what they love. Those are the two things that really motivated me. Like I was never complacent with just being a car mechanic. I was never complacent with just sitting on my ass watching Netflix. Like I always wanted to do something and contribute. And I was hoping that whatever I was doing would inspire other people, and it could get to a point where I could be a small part of helping other people achieve whatever it was that they wanted to do. Start a YouTube. Like tomorrow, I'm meeting up with this guy and his son. He wants to start a YouTube channel, and his son wants to meet me so I can tell him how to tell stories. And I love being able to do that because I never had anybody when I first started out. I didn't have a coach. I had no mentors. I had to figure out how to get from the Titanic sinking to the shore. I had to figure out how to get in all them little lifeboats to the shore on my own. And so I want to make sure that I can be what I never had for a lot of other people. So that's what motivates me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. That's a great.
What frustrates you?
Oh man, you know what? Lazy bee. No, you know what? You know what frustrates me the most, I think, and it's real. Like actually, this is real talk. People that take people for granted. You know, like especially you, like you're a guy that I would never take for granted. You know, you work hard, but like even companies, even like companies, and I think companies the most. You got this hardworking person, and it's hard for this person because you're supposed to stay humble, right? You don't want to be cocky, but let's say you're not getting paid what you're worth, or like let's just say you're not getting those positions and you're working hard for it, and maybe somebody else is getting them. How do you get yourself how do you get your own self your back, you know, like how do you promote yourself without trying to be cocky and stay humble? It's like, no, I'm worth more. You need to pay me more, or I'm doing all this. I'm doing these. My points are getting higher. My averages are better. Like, how do you stay humble, but then nobody's respecting you or showing you that you deserve maybe more money or you deserve a higher rank? That's my issue. It's like taking people for granted. Like stop taking people for granted, and that's what the biggest thing. Do
you consider yourself a humble person, or
you know what? It's funny. I try to be. No, I am humble, but like because I put the work in. I never say, oh, I'm the best because I'm just the best. I say if I'm the best, it's because I put the work in. If I'm not, then I'll try to get there.
Yeah.
But like I don't think I'm cocky. You know, I'm confident. I would say I'm confident.
Sure.
You know, I got swag. You know, I'm about that.
I like
about that life. You know, but
I like people who aren't humble because I always say this. I've worked too fucking hard to be humble.
See?
Like if I feel like I'm better than someone or something, or if I feel like I can do a good job, I'm gonna let people know that. I love so we had like this guy who is coming to our house, a plumber who's gonna replace all the plumbing in our house.
Sweet.
And he came in and I was like, oh, so how long have you been doing this? And he just went on this diatribe about how he went to this national competition. He placed third in plumbing and how good he is. I was like, I want to hear that shit.
Do you just run water through a pipe? How do you do that?
I don't know what a plumbing competition is.
That's awesome.
But I appreciated how confident he was because if you're coming to my house and ripping the pipes out, I want to know, you know. And so I've never had a problem with people who weren't humble, not cocky, but were okay flexing what they were good at.
I think flexing is good. I would never say I'm better than anyone though. I would never say that. I don't care even if I am. If people are like, Ian, no, you're better. I would never say that. I would never say it, right? I would never say that. I just say I work harder or I reach my potential and that person hasn't yet, you know, and if they don't, that's fine. But I would never say I'm better than a human, maybe at maybe something like a sport, but not in general. So I don't know.
What's more important in your eyes, the skill or the work, the ethic?
Oh, that's easy. The work ethic, because you could be the most skilled person, but if you got skill for 20 minutes and a guy's got that work ethic for an hour, it don't matter. You better score a lot of points, because at the end of the day,
he watched more film than you.
Yeah,
he knows every move you're going to make.
That guy's going to get it done.
At some point, he'll
get it done. And I think that's the same thing. The testimony to yourself, because I don't know. You never stop, man. I don't know when you sleep sometimes.
I don't.
It's funny, because you know what's funny? All my boys say about Martin, they're like, that guy is like everywhere. And you know what the biggest thing they're like? They're like, I bet he's unorganized. And I tell them, it is completely opposite. And I think that is the biggest part. I think you need to talk to people.
Look at this shit. Look at my notes app,
dude,
for all of these shows.
Hey, Martin, everyone's like, yo, this guy's crazy. He's got so much energy like you, Ian. But I'm like, dude, he's got like the same energy, but you're so organized.
Preparation.
Martin. How does that
Preparation
work? Like, are you
yields perfection.
Yes, but are you scared to like not? Because it's weird to me, because you're so energetic, but you're so prepared and you're so organized. Like I'm organized to an extent, but like you are like to the T. Where does that come from?
Well, I have OCD,
Okay.
and when people always say, "Oh, I have OCD," you always want to make fun of them, but it can be really debilitating for me. Like this whole last week, I had so much anxiety, so much stress. I ended up developing this thing called globus sensation.
What's that?
It's basically this thing that happens where your throat tightens up. You ever hear people say, "Oh, I have a golf ball stuck in my throat"?
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. It was hard to swallow, and it felt like someone was strangling me.
Oh,
there's nothing
dang.
physically wrong with me, medically wrong with me. It's all anxiety and stress, and it makes you. It tightens up your throat. And so all Saturday, I spent the whole day. I had this whole plan where I had coffee and I went down to the lake and chilled out, and I was able to get myself to a point where I wasn't anxious anymore. And then all of a sudden, throughout that day, like it just went away. And so
that's crazy.
part of my OCD was obsessing over that, and so it can be very debilitating. Shit like flipping light switches and just being ultra organized with my stuff.
So you're like that. So you gotta like check the door, like the locks before you go to bed.
Yeah. When I pull into my parking spot in the driveway, I'll hit the window switches. What do? I take both fingers and I do the front ones click, back ones click, front ones click, back ones click, front ones click before I can get out of the car.
And then you're good. Dude, that's crazy.
And so it's not all bad. Like that obsessive, it does come in handy because I'm a very prepared person. I have this fear of sounding like a fucking moron when I'm on the radio or podcast.
But you never do though. That's why I don't understand.
Because I want to be prepared. I don't want to be caught off guard. I want to be smarter than the average person.
But you always do though. You always got some fact in it. And I'm like, where the heck did he pull this out of? Jeez.
Hey, what's one thing most people don't know about you?
Oh, that is a great question. The one thing they don't know, I think they don't understand that I do get tired. And I'm not always, and I could say this, I'm not always IB26, right?
Yeah.
And I think everyone on my Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, they're like, oh, that's IB26. And it's funny because when I meet a lot of people sometimes, and it rarely happens, but like it'll probably happen like late at night if I'm at an event, if they get the quiet, actually Ian, and then they start being like, dude, what happened? And I'm like, nothing. I'm fine. Like, I'm just tired. Like, I do get tired, and it's so
I am a human being.
Yeah, and it's just the funny. Like, do you have a cold? And I'm like, no. I feel yeah, like it's hilarious. And I'm just like, guys, like I can't. Sometimes I have to turn it off, right? Like I get tired. It's exhausted, doing all those appearances, all those shows. But like to be honest, a lot of people want that, which I love too, which is great. Not Ian's a little boring. I'm not gonna lie to you. Ian's a little boring.
I don't think so.
Nah, Ian's a little boring. IB26 is fun, and people are like, this guy's got an alter ego, and I'm like, nah, it's not that, but it's just like, IB26 is on the field, man. I'm beating up people. I'm trying to score goals. I'm trying to work, and I'm trying to move.
Do you ever feel like people put you on a professional pedestal, and then like when they meet you or you talk to them, like, and you're off your like mental game, or you're just like, I just want to chill. Do you ever feel like you let people down?
Oh yeah,
like
100%.
They have this high expectation,
100%.
like energetic. Ian's gonna come out here and he's gonna be cooler than real. He's gonna be Superman, and then you're like,
no,
hey,
they always say that. They always say, oh man, you're jacked, but you're short. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
People say that
all the time. Like,
how dare they?
They're like, you're big, or vice versa. Like if it's off season, they're like, "Oh, you're normally bigger in season." I'm like, "Thanks, man."
You're normally bigger in the season.
Yeah, I'm because I'm resting. I can't work out 24/7, you know,
Right.
like every day. But
Right.
nah, it's all good though, man. It's all good.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
What's something that's really important to me is kind of having not a favorite quote, but like a mantra, words to live by. I have mine tattooed on my arm.
Yeah, you did that. I think I interviewed you when you did the show.
Yes.
What was it again?
You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. Mae West.
Bam. That's right. That's a big one.
And I love that quote because I've always felt like we only have a finite amount of time on planet Earth. Everybody knows that. And I always feel like if I live every single day and I don't take a single hour or a minute for granted, and I do what I want. By the time I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to have any regrets. I'm not going to need a second life or to be reincarnated. Yep. Fall Out Boy always had this one this lyric in one of their songs, and it said, "I've lived so much life. God's going to have to kill me twice." That is the kind of life that I want to live.
Dang.
And I've said this to people before, and I said this to Jen. If God forbid something happened to me, and I was going to die tomorrow, I would be okay and at peace with it because I've taken advantage of every opportunity and every friendship and anything that I could possibly do professionally and personally, and I have absolutely no regrets. And so that's why I love that quote so much.
No,
is there something that you habitually go back to, a mantra, a quote, or just some sort of saying or that you tell yourself, before a game, or to just kind of
I just try to
snap
inspire
you
greatness,
back into reality,
just like my clothing line, like just inspire greatness, like whatever you do, right? Like so, and I try to tell that with the youth too, like whatever you do, I don't care if people are making fun of you, you do what you do and you be the best at it. Like people like the instruments now, like they're it's kind of going out of style, let's just say, right? Playing a music
like band instruments,
like band and everything. But you know what? I'm telling him, change the game, man. No one's if that's not the kind of the cool thing to do right now, you do that, you own it, and if that's what you love, and you kill it. You be the best out of it, and then I'm telling you, you'll get everyone's respect. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing something that somebody can't do, they can't hate on you, And if they do, you know what you do? You give them the instrument and say you play it, and then I'm telling you, it would shut anybody up. So this is good for you kids, you kids, anybody. If you're playing a musical instrument, someone is making fun of you, hand them, first thing, bust a couple notes, do your thing, and hand the instrument to the kid and let him talk. If he breaks it, even better. Right? He's going to have to buy you a new one and you can get a brand new one. Or he's going to stop talking crap because then he can't, what is he going to do, play it?
100%.
So it's things like that where I live by and I want people to live by, inspire greatness. Be you, be the best you can be. So those are my basic mottos,
Yeah, I like that.
But Martin, this is I always want people always say, and they always ask me, is Martin really funny? And I'm like, and it's a big question because I got to be honest, you're so intelligent. I don't know if these jokes are going over my head or they're just so in depth. I don't because sometimes some people laugh at them and I'm like, dang, did I miss that? So people, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
I really, really love humor.
Yes, you do.
And I get it from my dad. Okay. And I mean, as I've gotten older, my dad tells the same jokes. So they're not as funny, but my dad was always a funny person. And I have a really dry humor. Yes. So I'm either you are going to get my joke or you're not. Okay, there's perfect. No in between. Okay, my wife doesn't think I'm funny.
Okay.
I think I'm the funniest person on planet Earth. I like to be smart funny.
You are smart funny though. You're very smart funny, which that I have trouble with.
I get John Oliver is a guy that I love watching. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. He's a very smart, funny.
Yes, he is.
Wes Anderson movies like The Royal Tenenbaums, which I'm sure you probably never seen before.
No.
Life Aquatic. I really like super dry humor. I cringe at slapstick comedy, low hanging comedy. I just don't. It's so dumb. I don't think it's funny. There's nothing wrong with it.
No,
it's just not my humor. So
I need to paint the pictures.
I think that's why there's been a lot of times where I've told the joke and I'm looking at you and I'm like, ooh, Ian's gonna laugh at that, and it just went. I can see your eyes glaze over, and it just went.
It takes a minute. If you do say a joke, sometimes it takes me a minute to oh, okay, yeah.
And some of mine are really quick, just little 3-word jokes, and I'm like,
I don't know.
I reference movies a lot.
Dude, you are the king. I'll reference it. You always know what movie, and sometimes I know them, sometimes I don't, and then I'm like, whoa.
But I learn a lot of that stuff and a lot of the pop culture stuff and just a lot of that through the format that I created and I play in the space I play in with YouTube and doing the radio. And, you know, I meet so many people. I'm around so many people, and I'm constantly challenging myself to inform and learn and get educated on things. And as the years have gone by and the decades have gone by, I feel like if I surround myself with smart people, people who are different than me, and I really soak in what they have to offer, it makes me a smarter, funnier, more intelligent human being, or not.
You talked about your...
See, there was a joke. There's a joke right there.
See, that's
I always say that, or
okay.
not.
All right. It's funny, though. You talk about your dad. Like, I don't know if people know this about you, but, like, how was, like, your upbringing, like, with your mom and dad? Like, how was it? Did you have a mom? Did you have a dad?
Yes.
Like, how did it work?
I had a very interesting childhood. So I was a magician. I started off doing magic when I was, like, 7 years old. And so, like, I always tell people I've been two things. I've been a entertainer and I've been a storyteller. And, you know, when I started with my magic, I was entertaining people and I was telling stories through the tricks that I would do. And the caveat that came with that was that my dad pushed me really hard to be, like, a good magician. And so I had sort of a rough upbringing isn't the right word, but I had a very strict upbringing, and there was an expectation that, like, I was going to do something with the time and money that, you know, my parents invested into my magic. I've never really been crazy close to my parents.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm really close to them now. As I've gotten older, I really enjoy being around them, and I finally gotten to that point where, like, I get to know them as human beings, as people. You know, when you're kids, you always look at your parents or your grandparents as these people that they don't have anything to worry about in life, and they just seem so inaccessible and unapproachable on a human level, on a friendship level, which is one thing I really appreciate with how you are with the girls and kind of this generation raising kids. There's much more of this friendship and this camaraderie with their kids. I had a very, very, very you know, sort of like post-World War II childhood, you know? And I was kicked out when I was 18. My sister was kicked out when she was 18. And so I had a very interesting, I dropped out of college. You know, my parents, I wasn't the best kid. And my parents weren't particularly proud of me in my late teens and early 20s.
Why'd you get kicked out?
It's a long story, but basically I borrowed my dad's vacuum cleaner to vacuum my car out at Jiffy Lube where I worked at. And he got really pissed off and kicked me out of the house. And so I said, okay.
Why do Americans why do Americans do that? Kick their kids? Like, I mean, I get it, maybe it's warranted, but in Canada, like, we stay with our parents until until we're 30.
I really struggle with parents who feel like their kids owe them something. When you hear parents say, like, I raised you and you owe me, and I put clothes on your back and food on the table. Fuck you. I didn't ask to be born. You had me. Like, you should take care of me.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I get teaching them a lesson, but it was rough when I got kicked out. I made a lot of financial mistakes. I had my car repossessed. I was not, in air quotes, a catch when Jen met me.
So you were a little
lived in my car for 3 months.
See, one. That's crazy, man.
It was I had a rough late teens in basically my whole 20s.
Just trying to find your way, right?
And I always struggle with kids these days who they get out of high school and they're on social media and they think that right away out of high school that they're going to be some CEO of something, or they're going to be a football star, or they're going to be whatever it is. And it's like, dude, it took me till I was 37 before. 35, 37, before I really got my shit together, knew who I was, had a game plan, executed it, and really started making moves.
But it's never too late, so that's good. So, like, that's why, that's perfect. So, if
I forget the original question you asked me.
Right? No, that was good. I was saying, how were your parents?
Oh, yeah.
And it was good.
And
like,
it was crazy. I have a great relationship with them.
That's cool.
Are you close with your parents?
Dude, I'm like, my parents are the best, man. Like,
you have honestly, you probably have that perfect Canadian.
Perfect Canadian. No, and I think that's the pressure, though. So, right, seeing how great their relationship was, and even, like, not even how great it was, but, like, how they were just, how it worked, right?
Sure.
My dad was the athlete, kind of, and he loved to work. He got to work at it, and my mom was kind of just at home, let my dad do his thing, kind of. It was like, but it worked, right?
Sure.
Like, he was just, I don't know, it was just such, like, they just had it they just ran the household like.
Did they have a very traditional marriage? Like my parents had a very traditional.
Yeah, they did.
My mom stayed at home, raised the kids, and my dad was the bread.
So like my mom like worked too. Like she had her job because I think she felt like I gotta have my own income too and stuff. Like I gotta be independent. But like no, like she would cook and do all that stuff too. But like I don't know. It was just really cool because she was such a sports mom too, and I think that was the biggest thing. Because like you got the dad. The dad's got 3 boys, right? There's 3 of us, and he's all gung ho, right? Because he's got boys, like,
right.
And he's like,
one of y'all better,
right? We got to play sports. You got to do that, which is great. And he always was all about education first, though, which is crazy.
Nice.
Like he was all about education. He's like, do sports, education, but then to have your mom being like education, but also be like, yeah, I'm gonna be your biggest fan. I'm gonna be in there, like I'm gonna help you if you need protein shakes. Like, I'm like to see that was amazing, like to have that upbringing. Like she actually cared as much as my dad did, because you know how sometimes
one parent cares,
and then everyone's, oh, you're being too mean to them, being too soft, like kind of like how my wife is, and I'm like, no, man, these girls got to man up, they got a ball, right?
Yeah.
But like to have my mom do that, it's just be as strong as my dad, because like if I played a bad game or if I was lazy,
you had to hear from both of them.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna have the easy out where I'm going to my mom and mom's gonna be like, oh, don't worry, honey, I'll make you some cookies. No, she was like, no, you got to play better, man. Like you got to step up. So I think having that upbringing was awesome. To be honest.
Was it your dad, your mom, or both of them who wanted you to do soccer, or was that more of your choice?
You know what's funny? It was actually like I played football and soccer growing up, and they loved both. Like they could care less as long as I was staying out of trouble.
Yeah.
They put me in everything. Like I would do basketball, football, and soccer. Those were my main 3 sports, like growing up. And then when they got tight and it got tough to do all those sports, then I had to narrow it down to like 2, and then I narrowed it down to obviously 1. But honestly, they rather let me play sports instead of going to like parties, going to hang out with this guy, doing bad things. Like, so I was never, honestly, at 17, I wasn't that cool.
Really?
Oh, dude, like people always think, oh, you must have so much swag and stuff. My kids make fun of me all the time because like like my mom tells them stories like, no, your dad was a really good kid until like the age of 17. Like, he was really good. Like, and they start laughing and they look, and like I think they believe it though, because I tell them when they hear it from them,
Yeah.
Like he was a good kid, he got good grades, and then 17 he kind of just went to like the
bad boy.
Yeah, went to the bad side. But
here's a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you call it football or soccer?
So it's football normally. It's football,
but because North America calls
it's soccer. Yeah.
Yeah. Because Canada has the CFL.
Yeah.
Do you follow CFL?
Yeah,
I'm an Argos
CFL.
fan, baby.
I'm an Argos fan too.
Are you really?
Even though I'm from Hamilton,
Oh!
we can't let that out. But I love Hamilton, but I just grew up Argos because my mom was from like Toronto, and she always just put me on them. But I love them. But obviously I love the Tiger Cats. But yeah, I'm an Argos fan too, though, man.
Did we just become best friends?
Dude, I didn't know you like. I didn't know you knew about the Argos.
Oh yeah,
let's go, baby.
Yep. I watched Toronto Argonauts.
That's awesome.
I love it. How do you relax? How does Ian Bennett relax?
That's a great question and an
or
easy
do you
question.
not relax?
No, an easy question. Music all day.
Like you like music,
dude. I put music to everything in myself, and they're like, no. I honestly, if I could honestly, I think be a teacher or be a singer. Like literally,
really.
Like I love R&B. Like everyone thinks, oh, I'm a hip hop guy. No, I'm R&B first. Like old school, like Genuine, like Usher. Like I'm all old school, like Carl Thomas. I'm all about the old school, and then I love hip hop. But like I love R&B first. Like I just
you
love
just
it.
sit back in the chair and
oh my gosh. And like my kids are like, what are you doing?
Put
I'm
on
like,
some Cos headphones
I'm like,
and listen to some music.
I go, because these kids these days need to listen to music to do stuff, right? To either clean their room, if they're going to a party, if they're going to a game.
Yeah.
I can listen to music when I want to, right? And if I just chill, like these people, these generations don't understand. They're like, why? Like she'll come in and be like, why are you listening to music? Because I'm relaxing and I'm just chilling. Like, when do you need to listen? Oh, you listen to music when you're doing something. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, nah.
Do you ever listen to full albums?
Oh my gosh, I'm the king of that. I'm the king because I want to judge you on your body of work. Don't give me this 2-song crap. But
single,
now these days,
single.
Yeah, now they're because they want that money.
Summer
that
anthem.
Yeah, exactly. No, I like albums.
I remember the first time I ever really understood what an album was I was babysitting my niece. I think I was maybe 13 or 14 years old.
Yeah,
and in the house, they had like a bunch of CDs in there, and they had this Smashing Pumpkins Siamese Dream. And I remember I put that on and sat in the chair, never heard them before, and I listened to it from start to finish. And I remember that was the first time I ever appreciated like an album, a whole body of work. And like like you, I love to just sit down and just put on an album and just listen to it from start to finish, just to chill out and just to relax. And I kind of miss that. I miss going through an album.
Artists are not doing, I don't know if artists are putting that much time in because you don't really need to. Because if you have a big single,
right,
you just need that one single. And then
your YouTube video for ad rev.
Yeah, and then you can live off that. Like, your album doesn't even need to be good as long as you have that one. So I really think that's why, like, obviously, like, everyone always like makes fun of me, but like, I put Drake high on that list because like you can listen to all his stuff. Like, literally, he puts out an album, dude. You can listen to the whole thing, man. It's that good, you know. And I think he takes pride in that. I mean, he's Canadian.
Let's get into it really quick. Certified Lover Boy or Donda?
Are you kidding me? Kanye? I don't even deal with Kanye. It's all about Drake because I think Kanye's too much. And it's funny that you said that. I love that you actually brought that up. I think Kanye's too much about like the theatrics. Like, he's doing all this. He went in like
Atlanta,
to like the Superdome or
in Atlanta. I
whatever
think.
That he to record his. He stayed in the locker room. Like, dude, get out of here, bro. Like, seriously, like, yo, it's not that serious, man. Like, if you're creative, you can create anywhere, right? Now I thought like now you have to set the tone, and he had like 3 listening events. Come on, man. If you know your work is good, you could put it out there. So. Kanye, you're whack, bro. I'm Drizzy Drake all day.
I knew it.
All day.
I think we already talked about that.
No, I mean, we might have, but I'm glad you brought it up. I'm all Drake.
I'm down to baby.
Nah, man, whatever.
It's so good.
No, it's whack. I won't listen to it. Seriously, I won't.
You haven't listened to it?
No, I won't give it a chance because the theatrics leading up to it, it
just already ruins it for you.
Yeah, it's like, dude, why you? Like, come on, man. Like, you're not.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I heard he made everybody like in the studio where like all like they had to wear Yeezys and all.
Oh
his
yeah,
like,
you bet.
Come on, man. Like,
he's
man.
He's different.
He's very different.
He's a particular brand of vodka you really gotta like.
No, and I get that, but like now you're doing too much for the show. Like, if you kept that stuff like in-house, I would respect that.
If
right?
he was a little more humble with it and wasn't so theatrical.
Yeah, and like if like people didn't see how he did that album stuff and you just heard the stories, that would be cool. But like when you're making it public, dude, no, like it would have been different if someone found him like in like the stadium and like what is he doing in there? Yeah. That would be cool.
Dude, you know Kanye was in the janitor's closet recording the whole album?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he's putting it out there and it's like, dude, I don't like that, man. I don't.
It's almost like he's fabricating energy in the situation. And
nah, I'm not feeling that. It's too much.
It's like manufactured hype.
Let your work do the talking, man.
Ooh.
Let your work do the talking,
like
man. Drizzy Drake all day, baby.
Speaking of talking, here's a tough one, and take as much time as you need to. If there's an awkward pause, now might be a time for a break for the listeners to go get a glass of water and come back. Why should people listen to what you have to say?
Ooh, you know what? I think that's a great question, Martin. I don't think people need to listen. I think people that want to listen and want to be inspired and just want a real general conversation and hear an opinion on a person that is not afraid to make mistakes. And I'll apologize for all of my mistakes. If someone said, Ian, that's not right, or that you shouldn't say that, or educate me on something I don't know, I am fine with that. But honestly, I'm letting people know that I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. I'm going to make 100 mistakes. And you know what? When I turn 50, I'm going to still make 100 mistakes. And I'm fine with it. You know, like I'll apologize, but I just want people to know that I'm an honest guy and I'm a real guy. So fault me at that. You can if you don't want to listen to me, or you can say Ian's not the smartest dude. I will agree with you. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that stuff, I mean, I can't persuade you to listen. I want you to listen. Yeah. But I'm never ever going to say you got to listen to me or why you should listen to me. Yeah. It's if you like what we're doing, you got to listen. Yeah. Or you should listen.
I guess my question was more or less, let's say you were standing up there talking to an empty room and someone walked by. Why should they stop? and walk through the door.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I would never.
It's a tough question.
It is, but I would never I don't know. Maybe I'm not as cocky again. I don't know. You should listen to me because I got whatever I got to say is going to be amazing. No, it just depends what topic is. If it's a topic that I'm knowledgeable, I'm good. I got good facts and I'm passionate about 100%. I think you should listen to me. But if it's just general and we're shooting the shit, nah, man. Like, I think you got to like me for what I'm saying. And I think it's the same way with you. That's why I listen to you. I think people might be like, yo, that Martin dude is crazy or he's too hype. But I'm like, nah, I like him. And whatever he's got to say, I'm going to take bits and pieces from it because I respect you. And I think that's how I think you can get listeners. Because if they feel you, they vibe you, they like you, I think
they're inspired by you.
Yeah, because controversy can only go so long, right? Sure. It goes so much. Because they might be like, oh, I don't like that guy. But then they'll by the 8th episode, or they'll be like, okay, no, I'm not listening to you anymore. So like,
I
what I'm saying?
really struggle with people who create content. And Steve kind of brought this up when he was on his episode, You're Gonna Die, Steve Scafidi, when he said, I don't, he doesn't like the men and the women who their whole shtick is controversy and being controversial.
But that sells,
and he's like,
though.
yeah, it does. And he's like, show me something. What's your action plan? And I thought that was a great point that he made in that episode, because I struggle with people who just bitch and complain and try to thrive and create content off of controversy.
True.
And it's just like, dude, show me something more. Like, give us some value,
Yes, Martin. Martin, I got a big question.
Oh, God. I don't know the answer.
No, this is a big one.
I'm done. Just kidding.
No, this is a big question. Do you have any regrets, or do you live with any regrets?
No.
Ooh.
I have no regrets.
Good.
For the simple reason of, and you hear people say this a lot, it's a very cliche statement, but it's cliche because it's true.
Yeah.
I have no regrets because I wouldn't be where I am today without the path that I took.
Damn.
And so
you might need to quote that. I might have to have it tatted.
every failure that I've ever had, and boy, I've had a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know that
It shapes you, right?
It does. It shapes you, and the Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Yoda, failure, the greatest teacher is. And I've learned very, very little from my successes, and I've had a lot of successes. Yeah. I've learned 100 times more from every failure that I've had, and so I have no regrets. There's nothing that I wish I had done differently, or I wish that I had done that didn't do, or vice versa. I have no regrets.
Sweet, man.
I'm exactly where I want to be, and I'm exactly where I should be for the work that I put in.
Ooh, I love that. Dang.
Mic drop.
Yeah, right? Drop it.
That was my phone.
Dude, yeah, we're breaking stuff in the
What about you? Do you have any regrets?
Nah, man, I'm the same like you, man. I think I've learned from all my mistakes, and I'm like you. I made some bad mistakes, but I've always learned from it. And I never let that define me, right? I'm never gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm done. No, I agree with you. I think I've learned a lot from my mistakes, and I don't live with any regrets, because if I lived with any regrets, I wouldn't be able to progress to where I'm at now, because I'd always be thinking, right? I'd always be like, if I regret, I'd be like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that in 2010. You know what I mean? I think I just wouldn't be able to focus.
All right. This is a 2-part question.
Ooh.
What are you the best at, and what do you wish you were better at?
Ooh. What
are you the best at? It can be anything.
Oh man, what am I the best at? That's deep. What am I the best at? I think I'm the best at opening up to people from different facts of life.
Ooh, that's an important one.
I think I can let everybody in and give them a chance. I think I'm good at giving anybody
Not a lot
chance,
of people can do that.
but I will cut you off if you rub me the wrong way and if you do something stupid. But and I'll give you a second chance. But I'm the guy that I will always, even if someone tells me, "Oh, this guy is not good," Ian, you know what? I'd probably give him a chance, and then I'd find out for myself if this person wasn't good.
Sure,
you know? So
that's an outstanding. That's kind of cool that you brought that up, and it's not what I had expected, but it's an outstanding characteristic, because that's in 2021. That's a hard thing for people to do.
100%.
People find out I'm a liberal. Immediately, 50% of people don't even want to. Don't even talk. Me and Steve Scafidi wouldn't be fucking friends if I thought like that.
Yeah.
And some of the most lovely people in my life that I respect the most and I love the most are people that typically you see other people not even talk to or give the time of day. So that's awesome that you said.
You could have a different religion. You could have political opinions.
But you give people a chance.
Yeah, I'll hear them out.
That's awesome.
I have my different views, but I'll hear you out.
The world needs more of that. Is that the Canadian in you?
I don't know if that's... No, you should see Canada right now, bro. Now they're picking sides too now. So it's getting crazy.
Shit.
Yeah, it's getting crazy. But no, I think that would be probably my biggest... What I'm best at.
Sure. What do you wish, then the second part? What do you wish you were better at?
What would I be better at? Oh, man. I wish I would be better. Oh man, Martin.
I know. I always hate there. Every once in a while, I'm on a podcast or doing an episode, and someone asks me a really hard question. I'm like, well, this is where I sound like a fucking idiot. This is why I have scripted stuff.
No, you know what? What I'm better at?
What do you wish you were better at?
I think I would be better at like cooking.
Ooh.
I really think I would be better at, because I think I love to eat.
Yeah.
I think I would love to just like kind of just be smooth with my boys or even with my family, just make some crazy meals. You know what? Yeah, I wish I was a better cook. Like I'm decent. Like I can do the pastas. I could do like, you know, like the stuff
Like
in
some
the
crazy
oven.
shit.
Yeah,
Some of that chef, whatever them shows
you
are.
know what? I think I would be better at that.
Takes you like 4 hours to make,
Dude,
2 minutes to eat.
Yeah, it takes me, and honestly, even making like, and I'm
That was a
like,
joke right there that just went
See,
right
like,
over.
no,
4 hours to make, 2 minutes to eat. No, keep going, keep
but
going.
Like it just, look, your humor is amazing. No, but like, but no, like I think it would. I think I'd love to be a good cook. Like I want to be better. Like I want to be more like quick with it. Like I literally have to look at the ingredients, and it doesn't come like it doesn't flow with me cooking. Like I have to look it up. And it takes forever, and then there's a pile of dishes, and it's just a nightmare.
lot of work.
That's why I feel like I wish I was better, because then I could be smooth, right?
Or you could just be like, you know what, this needs some
I know.
fucking spice I can't pronounce, and you're just like, there we
I'm
go.
not the best cook.
Yeah,
I wish
that'd
I'd
be
be better.
dope.
What about you?
What am I the best at? And what do I wish I was
What are you
better?
the best at?
What I'm the best at is easy, telling stories.
You are good at that. I could have.
And that sounds really stupid, but
you're good at
it's
that.
a tough thing for people to do. And being able to tell a story is it's something. It's a skill that you can implement into basically every facet of life. This podcast has a beginning, a middle, and an end. My vlogs have a beginning, a middle, and an end. When I make commercials for costs, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Being able to tell a cohesive story and have a 3-part narrative is not something a lot of people know how to do. Even if you look at my Instagram stories, nobody follows me on Instagram for my photos. It's all my stories. I get 20 likes on my photos, but I get 600, 500 people who watch my stories, and I have a beginning in my story where you see my feet on the ground. I have a middle where I'm telling people what I'm doing, and then I have an end where I'm like, I've always been good at that, whether it was when I was doing magic and doing an illusion, or when I was in bands playing music. Songs have a beginning, a middle, and an end. This podcast, my YouTube videos. So I would say telling a story is probably what I'm the best at. It's really all I know how to do.
What do you need to be better at?
Oh God. I would have said, had you asked me this question 4 or 5 years ago?
Ooh.
It would be what it is now, but I'm going to say it just because it was really important. Listening, I'm good at it now, but listening was something I always struggled with. I always was just waiting for my turn to talk, and I was never really listening to people. And so I did this exercise where for a month, when I would go out with people or I was with anybody, I would never talk unless I was asked a question.
Yeah.
And then I would just listen to that person. And it finally made me aware of, someone would tell me they were on a trip, and I actually gave a shit what they did on their trip. Or someone was telling me about their kids or their family or the struggles they were going through. And instead of just waiting for my turn to talk, which is what we all are kind of doing, I finally got to really get to know people and really genuinely care and give a shit about what they were saying, without having to give anything in return of what my experience might be or to try and one-up them or something. And so I've gotten much better at that. I don't know if that's what it is now, but I want to use that one. Listening was something that I wanted to get better at, and I ultimately did. So it's kind of like a half
No, I like
answer.
it. Do you want to be famous, Martin? Would you like to be famous?
Yes, but it comes with an asterisk. Like, I always wanted to be famous, not for the money or the clout or the flex, but so that I could have influence to help shape the world.
Sweet.
So that I could help stomp out those people or be a positive voice that could be a negative, that could be the antithesis of all the negative voices that were out there. I always wanted to be famous, to have the power, to have a voice, to do something better for planet Earth. It was never about the flex or the money, if that makes any kind of sense.
No, it does, 'cause
I think a lot of kids today, they want to just be famous. They want to be insta famous.
Yes.
And I just never wanted
That's
that.
cool, man. That's cool.
I don't know. Maybe that's a little humble
I love
side
it.
of me.
I love that. Yeah.
What frustrates you?
Maybe lazy people. Like it frustrates me, but it doesn't I don't lose.
Can we get into this for a minute?
Yeah, I don't lose sleep over it, but it just frustrates me because I like to see people reach their potential, and it drives me nuts when my kids. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have my kids. My 2 daughters are lazy, and it drives me insane. You could be doing anything and I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
But don't just sit on your bed or on the couch on your phone for like 4 hours, man. I'll give you an hour. I'll give you 2 because you and me, we're on our phones a lot.
Yeah. That's an understatement.
Yeah. So exactly. So I feel you. I vibe with what you got to do, right? You got to check your Instagram. You might post a couple pictures. You might figure out what's going on, but like and share some stuff, which I get it. So like an hour, 2 hours, I'll give you that. But then after that, dude, you got to figure something out, man.
Yeah.
You can't just like be better. Like if you want to be better at sports or education again, like you want to read a book or do something.
Yeah.
It irritates me, man. Like when they just sit there and like for 3 hours, I'm counting the hours and I'm looking at them and I'm like, so what else are you going to do after you eat lunch? You're going to go back on your phone? And they kind of just look at me like, maybe. I'm like, figure out something else to do productive, please.
Yeah.
You know, because you're a kid. You don't need to get a job yet.
Right.
Maybe if you want to, that's awesome. But like right now, your job is school. And if you're playing sports, which they do, they play soccer, that's their only jobs is school and soccer. And like it drives me nuts when they just hang out all the time. But I mean, yeah, I'd say
lazy people.
Lazy people, man.
Nice.
Laziness.
Laziness.
What about you?
Mine would be this is gonna sound bad, but
You're not lazy.
People who waste my time.
Ooh.
Professionally. One thing I can't stand is when someone really wants to meet me. Dude, I want to grab coffee. I've got this new thing I'm going to do. And they want to sell me. They don't want to sell me. They want to get my approval on whatever grand idea they have. Okay. They want my blessing for their podcast idea or their YouTube channel or some video they're going to make or some song they're going to do or tour or giveaway or whatever it is that they're going to do. And they want to meet up with me and get my feedback and get my blessing and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, they get me all hyped up and, you know, I spend my time, which I'm totally fine doing, meeting with them and, you know, kind of giving them my feedback. And then they don't do anything with it.
Ooh. So
hey, dude, how's that
irritates
that YouTube channel going? You know, what irritates me more is when I go into that meeting or that conversation or that get together knowing that that's going to be the outcome. But I still give that person my time of day.
Yeah.
Knowing there's no way this motherfucker is going to start this YouTube channel or do this video or whatever it is. And then I meet them and they're all hyped up and they're like, bleh, and then 6 months go by and I'm, man, I wonder whatever happened with that person. Nope, not doing shit. There's so many people out there. I always say there's two people out there. There's people who want it and there's people that get it.
Ooh.
There's so many people
you got good cliches, man. You got good lines.
You and I are two people who we go get it. We don't post on social media all the shit we're going to do.
No, exactly.
We post shit when it's done.
Yes, exactly.
Ooh, that's another good soundbite right there.
Exactly.
And I do. The thing that frustrates you the most is especially people I believe in that just don't. Their eyes are bigger than their stomach. You know,
Ooh.
And one person who I love, who's been a guest on this show, who has just exceeded all fucking expectations, DJ Shauna. I remember when I talked to her one time, we had a little meeting together, and I won't get too much into it, but you know, she was sort of struggling with, you know, I want to up my game. You know, I don't want to just be this DJ that's doing these local events. You know, I want to up my game, and you know, we kind of sat down and game planned some things. I am not taking any responsibility or credit for anything she's done, but you know,
That's awesome.
I have been one of a myriad of people that you know she sort of confided in and tried to try and build her motivation circle. And I've always known from the second I met her that she was going to just fucking she was going somewhere. She was going to get it. She wasn't talking about what she was doing. She was doing it like you. It's why you and I click so well.
Yeah.
And I love surrounding myself with people like that because when I get lazy and I slow down, those people motivate me. Watching you make that IB26 video in one day.
Hey.
It pissed me off because I stopped vlogging because I don't have the time to do all. I've made hundreds and hundreds of videos. Ian Bennett just made this video not knowing shit in a day. Make a fucking vlog, Martin. Get off your ass.
Yeah.
Tell a story. And
Are you ever going to bring that back, Martin?
I want to. God, that's a good question.
I know,
and no one's asked it to me.
Yeah.
I feel like the vlog ran its course. It served its purpose. It was, you know, our lives are like this jungle where there's all these vines and these things that we do, and you grab the next vine to swing to the next one, and I feel like the vlog was a very long vine, and I was swinging on it for a long time, back and forth, and I grabbed the next one, you know, which was my job with costs and all that stuff, and, you know, I'm swinging now for this podcast. You know, I don't do this podcast because I'm bored or have nothing left to do. I have every intention of this podcast being a #1 podcast, or I wouldn't waste my fucking time doing it. Right. And so, will I ever bring the vlog back? Would I like to? Yes, but I feel like I've told all the stories that I want to tell. I've told all the stories I can tell without being redundant. And so, I'd love to bring the vlog back, but I don't know. You know, Instagram stories is a nice, cheap, dirty way to do it.
True.
So. All right,
man.
Final question.
Bam.
And this is a tough one. Boy, this is a long episode. This is a good one, though.
It's not bad.
You know, who are we? I really wanted this episode.
I think people got a good feel. I mean, I think so.
Final question. We'll both do this. Okay. And I've made a point to not think about what my answer is until I ask the question, which sounds like a hard thing to do because I wrote the question. Okay. If you could go out to dinner with two people, any two people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Ooh, okay. That's pretty easy. That's pretty easy. First one.
And now I'm thinking, there could be some awkward silence.
Nah, that's easy. Okay. I honestly, like.
Any two people, dead or alive.
Just because I'm just going to go on the sports side.
Sure.
If I did like on like out of sports, that might be I have to think longer.
Sure.
But like in the sports world and like, cause they have such a good business head on them, I would love to like pick their brain and have dinner with them. Cause I think they would bring more like knowledge for me.
Sure.
Cause it's kind of my field and what I would. LeBron James?
Ooh, how did I know that?
Yeah, easy. King James, baby.
And why would you want to have dinner with him, just real quick?
Because I think he's just the man. I think what he does on the court and off the court is fantastic. Even like just his business plans and what he does for the community and everything. I always would love to get into that. Like, how do you do it? Like, because I'm in the community a little bit, but not as much as I want to be in Wisconsin. Yeah. And then honestly, then the next one would be like, honestly, it's
dead or alive.
It's Drake. And it's
Drizzy.
Yeah, and it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah, those are the guys that like just inspire me, like inspire my greatness, right? I see how much they work, and I see how humble like Drake is and all that stuff.
Sure,
and, like,
sure.
I would just love to meet these dudes because you see them on Instagram.
Sure.
You see kind of like in their kind of life, but
sure.
like it would just be cool, like because again, like. Do you ever get tired? Like, do people really just want like
right
when they don't want Drake and LeBron? Like, are they going to be satisfied just with
right.
like every day? So like that kind of stuff, or does it get overwhelming?
Right.
Like because when you walk, because they can't go to stores. Like that's what I always want to ask.
Right.
Them. Like we can go to stores and shop. Like when I saw
no
Giannis,
one's gonna stop Martin Moore for an autograph.
When I saw Giannis go into the Build-A-Bear, like there was cops and everywhere. Like. How does that feel where you can't even just
like
be,
shit?
You can't just feel like a human being. I just want to step out and go. You know what I mean?
I hate how, and everybody says, well, it's deserved. It's part of the job, which it is.
Nah, that's not part
I
of
hate
the job,
how we treat celebrities
that's
as
not
these,
part of it,
as their lives are, we get to do whatever we want and hound them and follow them and stalk them and break in it.
That's not part of the job. That's not fair. That's not fair at all. They should be able to feel like human beings. Just because they can dunk a basketball and write great songs, which is amazing, they're still human beings.
I mean, if you're chasing that sort of that energy and clout and whatever, cool. But there's a lot of people out there who
would love to just go to the store without having a mob at there, especially actors and actresses, right?
Exactly.
You can't just like let them be like. And I'm honestly like, I know like
that's why I would never want to be famous.
If I saw those guys, I honestly like. I think I saw who the other day. I thought what's his name? Tyron Woodley.
Really?
Right? I saw him the other day, and and it was cool, kind of cool, because like I even told him, like, dude, I don't want to be that guy.
Sure.
Like I even told him, like, and he starts laughing. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy, bro. But like, can we take a pic? But like, honestly, I was like kind of cool with it. Like, if you don't want to,
sure,
I'm cool with it, man. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I didn't want like, oh, T Wood, can we take a selfie? I was just like, listen, I get it. I'm like, bro. If you want to do it, do it. If you honestly say no, I'm cool with it, man.
Sure,
and he's like, yeah, no, let's take a pic, man. So that was kind of cool.
Interesting.
What about you, man? Because I don't even.
Do you have any idea who mine are going to be?
This is one question. I would like if someone said, I wouldn't know.
Who I would pick?
I think you're so like well versed around the universe. I would have no clue.
I'll try and make mine quick because I could talk about it forever.
I bet.
Both of mine are no longer alive.
Ooh.
Steve Jobs and Martin Luther King Jr.
Wow. I would never.
Steve Jobs,
I could.
Steve Jobs, maybe. Not because I'm an Apple fanboy, but because his mind worked in
different.
A way that other people
100%.
didn't. And his obsession with detail it's something. It's more or less, I want to know how he was able to inspire other people to get on his level. Like,
are we on his
There's
level?
this awesome story about when the iPhone kind of first came out and Google was one of the first apps. I think it was like Google Maps or maybe it was just the Google search app in general. And Steve Jobs, he hated the way the icon looked. The icon that Google made, their own icon.
Oh, okay.
And he basically called the CEO of Google at the time and said, "Look, let us just make this icon for you because everybody's going to have this on their home screen and it just doesn't match our icon. I don't like the way it looks."
Yeah.
Shit like that. A lot of people, so you know Stacey Nye, she has her podcast, Shit Happens to Me.
Oh my
I did an
gosh.
episode with her called Neurotic as Fuck.
You guys
And
are like the same.
I obsess over my wallpaper,
Yes,
how
you
my
guys are the
icons are
same.
arranged. And so
Yes.
I would love to meet Steve Jobs just to pick his brain on how he gets people, how he inspired his workers and his team to get on his level and be as obsessed.
The level will drop
Obsessed, yeah.
The level's going to drop.
Well, yeah. I mean, I look at the design of iPhones now,
Yeah.
in the OS, and it's shit. But
Right?
Yeah. So, anyways, that Steve Jobs and then Martin Luther
Martin
King
Luther
Jr.
King. Jeez.
That one, I would
awesome.
really love to meet him because he had such a fundamental understanding of how race relations
Yep.
work, particularly the understanding. He knew exactly how black people feel and how white people
Yep.
feel and how white people feel towards black people and vice versa.
It's true.
And every time, like his letters from Birmingham, like if you ever read those before, his understanding of how human beings work on
Yeah.
such a fundamental level
What a great man.
is astonishing.
Yeah.
In his plan, his action plan,
Yeah.
I would love to pick his brain because race really, it fucking frustrates me. I am very fortunate that I have such a diverse
Yeah, you
family
do.
and group
Yeah,
of
you
friends. And I don't pride myself on that. It's just
It
the
is what it
life
is,
that
yeah.
has
Yeah.
happened for me. But what frustrates me is when I have to hang out with my friends and my family and I have to hear the stories and hear the shit they go through that I will never, ever, as a privileged white man, will ever have to go through.
Yeah.
And so to meet someone like Martin Luther King Jr. and
would
educate
be
myself
cool,
and
yeah.
pick his brain and be able to at least, I'll never empathize, but sympathize with people and then help be a part and do my part of making, I don't know, the next generation
Yeah.
better, I think would be cool. So it would be those two people.
Dude.
That was a little deep.
No, I love it. No, hey, honestly, that was great to end the show, man. Dude, where can we find this podcast, Martin? Tell them all
Set,
you
at
linked it up.
Said No One Pod. This was our longest episode.
We can cut
Ever,
it.
I
We can
think.
edit it. We can cut it. We can
I
whatever.
think
We'll
it's
just
great.
put the whole thing. Who cares?
I'm
It's our
Martin
show.
Moore.
I'm Ian Bennett, and this
This is who we are.
who we are, man. Thanks for listening.
Catch us on our social at Said No One Pod.
See you next time. Let's go.
The next topic you never knew you wanted to hear about.